Good morning, everyone, and afternoon to those on the East Coast. Welcome to the webinar today, How Simple Green Smoothies Automates Their Rawkstar e-commerce business. Hopefully I said that correctly. I'm really excited today for this webinar. I'm joined by some great guests. But before we get started, I just wanted to let everyone know that's listening, if you have any questions for our guest today or myself as we go through the content of the webinar, you can use that question box on GoToWebinar, and we'll respond as we go through, and hopefully we'll have time at the end for a bit of Q&A as well. We also have a hashtag today on Twitter, Growth Marketing. If you want to tweet along with the webinar today, we'll be monitoring that and answering those questions. If we do run out of time for questions, please feel free to ask them on Twitter, and we'll respond as soon as we can. There's also the tags for Simple Green Smoothies, Zapier, and Autopilot up there as well if you want to tweet at any of us directly. So I'm joined by Wade Foster, CEO and co-founder of Zapier, who's going to be an insanely interesting guest to talk about how Zapier helps companies like Simple Green Smoothies connect to applications like Autopilot and Shopify, and of course Dan, who's the Director of Community Experience at Simple Green Smoothies. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike.
Yep, it should be a good time.
Awesome. So let's kick it off. I'll just start with the agenda this morning. So we'll do a quick introduction, and then we're going to look at an overview of Zapier and ask Wade some tough questions about the business. And then we'll look at Dan's story and the founding story with Simple Green Smoothies and how they're automating the customer journey using Zapier, Shopify, and Autopilot. And then we'll deep dive. And Dan's actually being great. He's going to dig into the journeys that he's created in Autopilot with Zapier and show you how it all works today. And we'll talk through how you can set up Zapier, Autopilot, and other applications as well. And then we'll share some learnings and take questions as well. So keep those questions coming throughout the morning. So recently we launched with Zapier an integration which allows you to create and connect to a number of different applications. So our whole philosophy at Autopilot is really around connecting to best-of-breed marketing applications like Shopify, like GoToWebinar, like Instapage, Slack. Zapier enables companies like Autopilot and our customers to connect to so many different applications easily and automate actions and adding contacts. And Wade, Dan, and I will go into this in a little bit more detail. But we're really excited to announce this official Zapier integration. We've been working on it for some time. Customers are using it and really loving it and loving the ability to connect to such great apps out there in the ecosystem. So Dan, I wanted to, Wade, Dan, I won't ask you about Zapier. Wade, I wanted to start off and ask you to tell us the story about how Zapier was founded and just to explain to the audience what Zapier is all about.
Yeah, so I started Zapier with two of my friends, Brian and Mike, about 4 years ago. Before it was founded, though, I was doing a lot of freelancing with my co-founder, Brian, and a lot of who we worked with was small businesses. And oftentimes they would ask us to do what I like to call API grunt work. So basically that's things like moving our PayPal sales into QuickBooks or taking this lead list and uploading them into Salesforce. Stuff like that where it's like move some bit of data that I have about my business into some other hosted web application. And at the time, the best way to do this was to be a developer and know how to code against all these APIs. But Brian came to me and said, hey, I actually think we can make a tool that makes this self-serve so you don't have to know how to code, you don't even have to know what an API is, and you'll be able to set up integrations between all these different tools. And so that was really the kind of how Zapier was born.
That's really cool. And so was it something that you were doing it time and time again for customers, and then you decided you could make that really easy. Was this something that you then went and sort of pitched to other companies and people about how they might want to see you do this and evolved it over time, or was it really clear to you how to create this framework of zaps, because you've got this unique language. I think everyone talks about, Zapier, and you create zaps and these triggers and actions. And was that something that evolved over time, or is that something that day one you knew going in, this is how we will connect things together?
I think day one it was something that we kind of knew how to go about it. Integrations were something that are something that has existed for a long time. The thing that was going to be different was we were going to make it a hub and spoke model so that it almost became a marketplace or a clearinghouse for connecting hundreds of different stuff, so that a SaaS vendor like Autopilot didn't have to go out and build integrations to hundreds of apps and spend all that time in engineering resources to do it. We were just going to do it for them so they could hook into Zapier and get all those integrations out of the box. So it's a lot easier for a company to do that. At the beginning, though, it was just us working hard to plug them in. And so really the thing we had to ask ourselves was, how are we going to find customers? Like, why would people even come and know about Zapier? And so what we did was just started asking people, how do you find out about integrations? And there's really two ways that people looked for integrations. One was just a Google search, right? It's like, hey, I want to know how to do a Salesforce and Unbounce integration, right? And so they would just do a Google search for that. And then the second thing was through integrations directories or partners themselves. So your customers come to Autopilot and say, like, hey, does Autopilot have an integration with X? And then you either tell them yes or no. And so what we decided how we would tap into that was we're going to build landing pages for every single integration we support. So as we were adding new apps, we would build out these landing pages so that we could start showing up in Google results. When someone does a Salesforce Unbounce integration, Zapier is hopefully the first result. And then the second thing we did was all the partners that we were building integrations for, we'd make friends with them and make sure we were listed in their integrations directory. Maybe they'd write a blog post about us, maybe they'd email their customers about us, and that way folks could hear about Zapier. And then eventually we got to a critical mass, and folks were, SaaS vendors like Autopilot, like yourselves, heard about Zapier and were eager to get on us. And so we launched our developer platform, which allowed vendors like Autopilot to do integrations directly to us. And so we would get, all these landing pages, all these integrations directories, just a little bit easier. And so the growth kind of accelerated when we did that. So that's kind of how we went from zero to something.
Yeah, it's a really interesting story. And you said a lot of that growth early on came from SEO, people looking to solve very specific problems. And I think that's a strategy that you've used that I'm sure many people listening today have seen, and there's actually an example of that on the slide there, Autopilot and MailChimp integrations as a search result in Google. So it seems like most of your growth as a company has been driven through organic sources or organic traffic. Has paid search ever been a component that you've seen work well around that, or is it just pure organic that drives Zapier's growth today?
99% of what we've done is organic. We've experimented with paid, but nothing meaningful yet. So most of our growth has been driven through these organic channels.
So no Buffs or banner ads in the near future?
Yeah, we haven't really done any AdWords or Facebook ads or Twitter ads or sponsorships or things like that. I'm sure it'll become more of our mix, as we grow. But today we're kind of laser focused on the channels that we know are working.
Yeah. So I guess for the audience, the terminology zaps and Zapier at first is definitely new. It'd be great if you could explain to everyone listening how Zapier works and what are zaps.
Sure. So Zapier is meant to be simple, though the language sometimes can be a bit confusing, as you mentioned. So a zap is basically an automation between two services. And a zap is made up of two things, which is a trigger and an action. And you can think of a trigger and an action as just like an event that occurs, something like receiving an email inside of Gmail or a customer buying something from you from your store. And then the action are just the events that Zapier does automatically for you. So an example might be, when a customer buys something from you through your Shopify store, set up a zap that will automatically then create a contact inside of Autopilot for you. So you have a zap that takes new Shopify customers, and then automatically adds them to Autopilot. So that's basically Zaps, triggers, and actions in a nutshell.
I think one of the really exciting things for me about Zapier and where Zaps are at today for those listening is Zapier truly does connect to so many different apps, and we'll go into that in a minute. But Wade, I thought one of the things that you might like is we actually have this check-in system on an iPad at the front of our office, and it uses software called Envoy, which is an app on the iPad to check people in. And when people check into our office, it actually uses Zapier and adds them to an autopilot journey, which is a function that you've enabled through all of these different connections, which is really exciting. It allows us to do really creative stuff with our marketing by being able to easily connect where we wouldn't have had the time before to write all of these different API integrations, which I think is just such a huge benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on that, on benefits, what is the benefit to marketers in connecting these applications together using Zapier that you see commonly?
Yeah, well, I think for decades, engineers have seen the value of automation. They often build stuff themselves to help them, make all this stuff, right? Amazon's email systems is all built by engineers, right? But most of us don't run businesses that operate at the scale of Amazon, right? We're smaller companies. We don't have that. So we use off-the-tool shelves, things like Autopilot, Eventbrite, GoToWebinar, you name it, right? And so for us who don't have big engineering staffs, who are maybe just a single marketer or maybe a couple marketers with not a lot of technical expertise, tools like Autopilot, Zapier, Shopify, GoToWebinar, all this off-the-shelf software allows us to get the power that engineering staffs at much bigger companies have. And so the great thing then when you do automate stuff is you don't have to spend your time manually doing things, right? You gave the example of Envoy into Autopilot. Like if you were to take Zapier out of the mix, you'd either have to write that code yourself or you'd have to, on a daily basis, someone would have to go through Envoy and take all those customer leads out of Envoy and then upload them into Autopilot via CSV or maybe just copying and pasting. That's kind of tedious and painful. And also the benefit is with Zapier, you're getting a computer to do this, which makes a lot less mistakes than humans do. Humans get tired, we get hungry, we get cranky, and we make mistakes. Computers don't do that, right? They can work great at 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. Just the same.
I think you mentioned a really interesting point, and I hear this from marketers a lot, which is marketers and engineering have a very interesting relationship. Marketers always need or want engineering resources typically to get certain things done that are more advanced things in this world we live in. I think you touched on the fact that this really just does remove engineering resources from the mix, and I think it's something that it really does enable the marketer to set up these connections, and we'll hear from Dan in a minute, who's been able to do this himself. But I think it's a similar philosophy we had when we were building Autopilot, which is, marketers really struggle with being able to automate and control the customer journey. What if instead of hard coding this stuff, we could make this visual with these shapes? So it's a very similar story, and I think that's why Zapier and Autopilot is such a good relationship and such a good integration for people, because it's a similar philosophy of what our CMO guy likes to say, creating earthquakes from basements. I think Zapier also does that. It allows marketers to really, market beyond, with superpowers. So that's really cool. So I think, do you see a big growth at Zapier today with how marketers are using the technology and adopting the technology? I know there's been I think we're all aware of this, quite an explosion in different technologies you mentioned earlier that people are using, like Eventbrite and WordPress and Unbounce. All these applications are being used more and more. Do you see marketers being a key driver of Zaps today with how they're using them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing that is really powerful for marketers and that's specific to Zapier is around lead generation. Once you're collecting leads, you got to close those leads, right? Like that's the key thing of a marketer's job, is to get leads and hand them off to sales for a lot of companies. And so marketers and with the explosion of these different tools and different channels, leads come from all different places, right? It could be through your Shopify store or a Gumroad store. It could be an event that you're running on Eventbrite. Maybe you spun up a landing page that has like a Wufoo form or a type form or an Unbounce form or a Google form on it. It could even be just like emails coming into your Gmail inbox, right? You got leads coming at you left and right. And so a big part of what marketers are doing through Zapier is making sure that wherever these leads are coming from, they can land in their CRMs. They can land in their email marketing programs like Autopilot. Because it's really important that once you have those leads, you're able to nurture them, and which is something that Autopilot, of course, does great. And so once you make sure that you've got these customers, you want to make sure you can stay in touch with customers, which is really the most powerful way to drive repeat purchases, things like that. And so it's important, I think, that you get your leads into a system like Autopilot, and Zapier can certainly help with that by connecting to all these different lead sources that you have in your business.
Wade, how important is lead nurturing to Zapier? I know you were a fairly, what I would call, early pioneer of sort of lead nurturing and automation in your own business as well. What effect does that have on your own audience?
It's very important. So one of the things that is a big challenge at Zapier is knowing, if you sign up for Zapier, we support 500 different apps. You're like, I know I should be automating something, but I have no clue what, right, or where to get started. So what we do is when you sign up for Zapier, we ask you, what apps do you use, right? Do you use Autopilot? Do you use Shopify? Do you use Twitter? Do you use, whatever, right? And then from that information that we've gathered, we can start sending out emails that are specific to you. So if you say you use Autopilot and you use Eventbrite and you use GoToWebinar, okay, well, we know you're kind of like these users, so we're going to start sending emails that make sure we recommend Zaps that are around those services that you're using, instead of recommending something totally different that is maybe not of interest to you. And so I think that's where lead nurturing starts to get really interesting, is you can start segmenting your user bases on characteristics and things that you know about them. Of course, you should start somewhere. It's good to just start with something simple first, but as you get more in advance, the segmentation can help you get even higher conversion rates than you're getting today.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, and I think it's one thing that Zapier is really enabling our customers to do, which is to build a better understanding of their customer and store that data and use it to enhance lead nurturing. I know that if we hold events, we'll run them through Eventbrite. We use Zapier to add the attendees and people who physically checked in or registered into Autopilot, and we will market to those people differently based on them attending event or various other criteria that we use. And that hyper-personalization and that personalized communication that you're having with them definitely has a much bigger impact than this unpersonalized approach of sort of blasting everyone with all of your content, especially like you say with 500 apps. That would become incredibly overwhelming fast. So I think that's a good point to introduce Dan. And Dan has a really amazing story with what the team at Simple Green Smoothies are doing. Simple Green Smoothies is a company I'm super excited about. They're an Autopilot customer. Dan's going to share some really exciting use cases with Shopify, Zapier, and Autopilot today. Just a quick plug, Dan and team released their first book, which is now the #1 bestseller in Dan. Which category is it? I don't know. Is it like health and wellness or something?
Yeah, well, I know for sure in like the smoothies and juices section, it's the #1 seller on Amazon in there.
Wow,
so
that's awesome. So we have the Simple Green Smoothie books in office right now. We're definitely going to do a smoothie session real soon. We were thinking about also doing a smoothie and alcohol session where we would enhance some of the ingredients, which I know is probably not the intention. But I would love it if you could give everyone listening an overview of Simple Green Smoothies and tell us a little bit more about how that book release went.
Yeah, well, first of all, I got to say I can't take a whole lot of credit for the book itself. The two people that founded Simple Green Smoothies, they started together. Their names are Jen Hansard and Jada Selner, and they're just great people. And this book seriously is like I mean, if you've never heard of a green smoothie or had one, then this book will have a lot of information. But to me, I feel like like when I flip through the pages of this book, I think, man, I wish this is what our website looked like. Like, talk about all the information that's in there. There's so much good resources about how to blend green smoothies, and even more than green smoothies. But there's over 100 recipes, and it's just fun to read too. They share some of their story in there, so it's really cool. And going off that, both Jada and Jen, they're the ones that started Simple Green Smoothies. I can't take credit for starting it myself, but they brought me onto the team pretty early on, and that's been a lot of fun for me to be a part of. And Simple Green Smoothies really is what the name says. It's all about being a resource and a community to help people blend one simple green smoothie a day. And if you're not familiar what a green smoothie is, it's really just like a regular fruit smoothie, or even other vegetables in there too. And then you add some spinach or some kale or some chard in there. So some sort of leafy green, and you've got yourself a green smoothie. So that's who we are, and what we try to do is just help people blend green smoothies.
And Dan, I think the role that you have at Simple Green Smoothies, Director of Community Experience, is something that really intrigued me out of the gate. Can you tell us a little bit about the effort and time you put into curating and nurturing your own community?
Yeah, that's my number one focus, is making sure that essentially that all the content, and that includes the website, that includes the newsletters, that all of it is working together to make a positive experience for people, that is simple for them to understand what a green smoothie is, simple for them to know that these recipes taste good, are easy to make, and it just makes it really simple and fun to be a part of this community, and fun to go on this journey and be a part of this movement where, hey, if we drink one green smoothie a day, like this is one habit that's changing our life each and every day. So.
And this sort of movement, this community, was really driven out of something as a marketer that really excites me, which is I know that that Instagram was such a big driver of growth as the team sort of founded the company. Can you tell us a little bit about how you've taken the growth through Instagram and some just interesting points about that growth along the way, grown it out to hundreds of thousands of followers, how you manage that community, and how and then you've sort of turned that into the business that it is today?
Yeah, so you can see on this the image that's on the screen now, on the left side, going back to September of 2012, you can see that's where the Simple Green Smoothie Instagram account started at 0, and then going all the way, it's kind of an older graph, but you can see updated numbers on the right side too, going through, I think it says June there on that graph, but going from 0 to over 300,000 by June of 2014, and then now you can see on the right that there are 383,000 followers. And it really did start primarily as an Instagram account where just basic, simple green smoothie recipes were shared. And the goal was to share recipes that tasted good, because I feel like and I hear both Jada and Jen talk about this a lot, that there's sort of like this void in the green smoothie world for green smoothies that tasted good and green smoothies that you wanted to actually drink. There were a lot of them that, they were probably good for you, but you didn't really feel like drinking them.
Yeah, I know there's that perception that there's a guy in our office, I'm going to kind of dob him in here, who makes the most horrendous green smoothies. He needs this book really badly. He's like,
Yeah,
Mike, do you want to try a smoothie? And I'm like, holy bleep, what did you put in this? And Wade, I think you said you had a spinach. What was it? It's not spinach. It's kale obsessed friend. So there's those scary green juice people out there, but I think this book changes that.
Yeah, and it's true. Like that's been our main goal, is to, I mean, they all have a leafy green in them, whether it be spinach or kale or whatever. They all have fruit in them. Some of them have some other veggies in them, and it's all good stuff. I mean, you can add all these add-ins and all sorts of stuff to make it, super powered or whatever, and that's fine. But if you're starting out, if you want something that tastes really good, and we even have a smoothie called Beginner's Luck, and we recommend all beginners to drink it. So, but going back to sort of that growth, and so somewhere along the way, you could see, as more followers were following us on Instagram and that sort of stuff. In January of 2013, that was when our first 30-day challenge was. And our 30-day challenge is we asked people to sign up for it, and that's how we captured some of their email addresses and that sort of stuff. And we would just send them one shopping list each week with recipes for them to blend. And so for the whole month of January, they had a shopping list, recipes, so they could blend 30 straight days of green smoothies, and it was totally free. And that was really, if you're asking, how we kind of went from Instagram to being what we are, that's really one of the best examples. Is that we started with that free challenge, and we offered it to those people on Instagram, saying, hey, sign up for this challenge, it's going to be great. And from there, it's just kept growing with the people joining. We still do our challenges once a quarter, every January, April, July, and October. So we're still doing free challenges, still the same sort of format with shopping lists and recipes. And we really think it's a great thing for if you want to start going down a journey of healthy eating. It's the best way, in our opinion. So that's really, I think, how that growth happened, and it's just been exciting to be a part of.
And Dan, you talk, and I think Jen also talks about this a lot, who's the co-founder of Simple Green Smoothies, about really the community experience and creating this customer experience. And I think you guys already, before we initially talked through Autopilot, you were very much focused on the customer experience and the customer journey. Can you tell everyone listening why that is so important and meaningful to you guys?
Yeah, it's important. I feel like it's important because it's important to us personally. Like when we're a part of something, when we're a part of a community, and that we do see who we are in our company as a community of people that are on a movement for, living a good and healthy life. And so we know that things that we're a part of, we innately want to be involved in something where it's fun, where you get to celebrate things, where things make sense, and you know what it is that's being asked of you and that sort of stuff. And so that's what we wanted to create for our people as well, for the people that sign up for these challenges. And it's not only for it to be something that makes their life better, but when you talk about from the business sense of, and Wade, you were talking about this as well, you want those people that join your challenge to even take the next step, and we want it to make sense for people if they're actually going to buy something from us. Like if they're going to buy our book that's released, or if they're going to buy like a digital product, we want it to make sense to them and not just feel like a sales pitch. So it's just really important to us to have something that cohesively works together, not just through newsletters, but also integrated with our website and our social media. And it's all very simplified and focused on what it is that we're trying to communicate as a company.
Yeah, and Dan, I think it does show for people who are subscribers to Simple Green Smoothies, it really does show that, even the tone of voice in a lot of the emails that you send, I feel like I'm directly being spoken to.
Right.
I'm even getting sent vegan recipes now, which is fantastic. So it's definitely being highly targeted to me and all the things that you know about me. Now, I think when we spoke more recently, and you were sort of building out the mobile experience, it sounded like in the past you had struggled with the sort of mobile e-commerce experience, and that wasn't creating the kind of experience that you guys wanted to have for your customers. Can you tell me a little bit about the sort of technology that you're using to build this experience and how you connected those systems. And I think Zapier was a big part of that. And it'd be great to hear about your approach to these technologies and how you think about the world.
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying that we're fairly new to all three of these things that you see on the screen. We're fairly new to Autopilot, Shopify, and Zapier, and we kind of joined all of them at the same time. And a reason for that is we were with a different newsletter service provider, and they were more of an all-in-one sort of approach. So you could send newsletters from that system. You could also sell products from that system, and all sorts of different things in there. And they really were a good company, but it wasn't really meeting the needs that we had. And you can see some of the needs listed here, like unlimited email sends. We with each however many thousand of emails you send, we were charged more money, and that's something that Autopilot, they give us unlimited email sends each month, which is great. We were looking for mobile responsiveness, especially with our products. Using the e-commerce stuff with that other system, it just wasn't easy to use on your mobile device. And I mean, I think you guys know how many people are active on their mobile devices now and not just sitting on their desktop. And so that was really important to us, to have a shop that was mobile responsive, and also emails that were mobile responsive too. You could also see another one of our needs was the single cart view, and that's really been a huge thing for us going with Shopify, is that you can purchase multiple products at the same time, whereas with our other system that we were using, it was, we would have a landing page on our website, and you could click to buy that product, but you couldn't even buy multiple of the same product, nor could you buy other products at the same time. And so Shopify has really been a big change for us, because people can purchase multiple products at the same time. And I wanted to get a report for you to show how many of our purchases since moving to Shopify have had multiple products, but I didn't have time to get that together. So I do know it's a lot more than it was before, because before it was 0.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see the impact. I think what's sort of exciting about this story to me is the fact that with Zapier, it's really enabled you to choose the technologies you work with. And Wade, you said earlier a really good point, which I just love, which is typically in the past, you needed developer time to sort of either connect these systems together or really even implement these systems out of the box. So Dan, just from your perspective, by being able to connect these solutions together, what was that experience like? And do you feel like it's sort of empowered you, or it's giving you the ability to connect to more solutions where you would have had to rely on someone more technical in the past? Do you see that with what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, at first it was a little scary for me. I don't consider myself to be any sort of guru of any kind, and so I knew I'd have to figure it out as I was going along. But it's really, you asked if it's felt empowering, and I do think it has felt empowering to me, because being able to have flexibility has been huge, and it allows us to choose the solutions that work right for us. And so being able to connect Autopilot through Zapier to something like Shopify, and honestly, that's the only thing that we're using Zapier for right now. But I know we want to look into expanding the apps that we connect with that. But since we're so new to everything, that's our only Zap happening right now, is Shopify to Autopilot. But I do think it has been huge for us, because it gives us the flexibility to choose the solutions that we want, that we know are going to work best for our community experience. And that's what it comes back to, is being able to choose something that we know our community will enjoy and excite them and be fun for them, and just help them to continue blending green smoothies and more. So it's really been a good experience, especially with that little bit of fear that I had with, okay, now it's up to me to choose the solutions that are right, instead of just, oh, here are the solutions that we provide with this all-in-one, resource kind of thing.
Yeah, it's great to hear that it's working so well for you, and it's exciting that it's enabling you to have access to both tools, and Zapier is really helping make that connection. I think on that, you have created some pretty, what I like to say is my catchword, remarkable customer journeys and communication strategies with Simple Green Smoothies. It'd be great to hear a little bit about some of those journeys that you've created with Autopilot and throughout the business. And then I think we have time here, which is great to actually dive in a moment and take a look. So how is Simple Green Smoothies, I guess, using Autopilot to stay in touch with customers using these journeys?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, one of the main ways is our 30-day challenge, and that if you go to our website, you'll see all over the place. Do you sign up here or join our free 30-day green smoothie challenge? And so through that, we've been able to build journeys that kind of automate the sending of those shopping lists and the recipes and that sort of stuff. So that's really one of the main ways, and that takes up 4 months out of the year. And we're sending other emails during that time, but that's one big communication. And it's cool because it's not just for new people. We have people that write us all the time saying, this is my 8th challenge, and I love it just as much as the first time I did it. So it's a great way to continually communicate and provide great recipes and shopping lists and everything. We also, during all of our challenges, we'll do something where we'll offer a way for people to take it to the next level. And one of the main ways to do that is through our digital resource called Fresh Start 21. And so during those challenges, we'll kind of we'll send some extra newsletters and even include some notes in those 30-day challenge newsletters about like, hey, this green smoothies are awesome. There's 21 more days of green smoothies where that came from, plus other meals and that sort of stuff, so you can continue taking steps in your journey toward healthy eating. And that's what Fresh Start 21 is. It has one green smoothie a day, but also recipes for your lunches and dinners and snacks and that sort of stuff. So we'll communicate that during those challenges, and then skipping down to the new customer onboarding. Once someone purchases, let's say they purchase Fresh Start 21 or any of our other products, we have sort of an onboarding journey that they go through. So it'll automatically send them their download to this digital resource, but it also includes maybe 4 or 5 other emails that last maybe the course of 2 weeks that will talk about, here's some frequently asked questions and we've got answers to them. Here's some more resources for you to help you during this journey, and just kind of content that's tailored to that product. So it follows up with them and even gives them a chance to let us know how it's going for them, so they can reply to us and share how it's going for them.
Yeah, that's excellent, and I think it's interesting to see the same concept applies. Whereas Wade is really guiding people through their journey with tailored messages about Zaps. You're really doing it regarding challenges and meal plans and different things that your audience has either opted in or shown more interest in, which is it's a similar use case. Except it's kale and Zaps. It's really the
Exactly.
substitute.
Well, I was even taking notes while Wade was talking, and I'm like, wow, that's a good idea to ask people up front what it is that they're interested in versus maybe waiting until they purchase to know what they're interested in. Anyway.
Yeah, Wade is a true pro.
Right.
Okay, so let's cut into it and jump in. I'm sure everyone wants to see this. So I'm going to hand over and make you the presenter, Dan, here. And it'd be great. I know you've been kind enough to sort of share some of your journeys in Autopilot and then show us how you set up the Zap from your perspective. And I'm sure that everyone listening would love to actually see how this is done. So you can take it away. I love this site is just absolutely beautiful and making me hungry, as I'm sure everyone else seeing it is also feeling that way.
So you can see my screen now then?
We can, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so this is this is, well, maybe I should pull up the other website real quick just to show you. uh, this is our website right here, simplegreensmoothies.com, but when you click on the marketplace here, this takes you to our Shopify shop right here, and it's called rawkstarmarketplace.com. So you can see, it gives them an option to choose stuff, but what I want to show you is how it actually works. So I've already gone through the process of filling everything out to purchase the Fresh Start 21 Cleanse. Gave myself a little discount so I don't have to actually buy it.
Nice.
And so I'm just going to click complete order here. And
I
then
hope you've expired the code there.
well, I only allowed it to be used once. So
Oh, okay, good.
you guys can try it if you want.
You might have had 100 purchases in quick succession.
So I want to, at the end, I want to see if it actually worked. But so what happens in Shop, that's our Shopify account. So what happens next is Zapier is, it's hooked up to our Shopify and our Autopilot account. And here is our lone little Zap. And so when you click on it, you can kind of see the criteria that we have set. And I'm not going to talk too much about this up here other than to say that the main point is that when someone pays for something in our marketplace, then it sends information to Autopilot. So the information that it sends, this is the part that I wanted to show. So you can see here, this is the contact list section. And we have it so that whenever someone purchases something, they get added to our purchased contact list in Autopilot. And they get added with this information, their email, their first name, their last name, their address, and all that good stuff. And also the SKU number or the line item for the SKU. So we know how to identify which products are which. And I think that's it. Yeah, that'll be it. So that information will get sent over to Autopilot in here. And I might kind of go through this stuff a little quickly, but I just kind of want to give you the overview.
Yeah, this is great. I think everyone will enjoy seeing it.
And so, like I said, they get added to the purchase list. You could see that if you're under the contacts tab there. But we have this purchase admin journey that's always ongoing. And so what happens is we have this list trigger that says if someone's added to the purchased contact list, then it's going to start sending them down this journey. And so then it goes through a series of checking fields, and all of these, maybe I should go to the canvas view actually to show you really what is happening here. So it'll check this first field saying if the product purchase contains FS21, and that's the SKU number that we have set for that product in Shopify. So basically all of these check fields here are checking those SKU line items. And so what it'll do is it'll check it. If it's yes, it does have that SKU number, it'll update this field, the Fresh Start 21 purchase field, with the text that says yes. And it'll do that for all these products. And so then I have it keep moving down this journey, and I have it set up so that if no, they didn't purchase this product, it'll move down. Yes, if they did, it'll still move them down because we want to check all the products that we have going currently. And then when they get to the bottom of the journey, it removes them from the purchase list, which is an important part because if they were to go back and purchase something else in the future, they would get re-added to the purchase list, and it would trigger this whole journey again. So
wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, this part's important for future purchases. So then I'll go back to my journeys, and I want to show you the journey in particular that I purchased with the Fresh Start 21 Cleanse. Here we go. So, you saw me do the test purchase, so hopefully my contact is making its way through, or already has. So first it goes to that purchase admin journey. And what it hopefully did is updated that specific field, the custom field that I set, Fresh Start 21 Cleanse Purchase. Hopefully it updated that to yes. So that this journey, it triggers that when that field is changed to yes, it's going to start doing all these things. And I'm sorry if it seems unorganized, but it's just how it made sense in my brain.
No, I think it makes sense. So it's basically saying if they've purchased the Fresh Start 21 cleanse, you're going to send them this product delivery email. You're also adding them to the 30-day challenge, your newsletter, journeys, and then you add them to the Fresh Start 21 cleanse purchase list. So you're updating that field, sorry.
Yeah, I'll explain why we update that field. So the field was updated to yes through that purchase admin journey, and now the field is going to be updated to delivered. And the reason for that is if that same person purchases Fresh Start 21 again in the future, I don't know why they would, but let's say they do, it's going to change. If this stays as yes, it's not going to get triggered. And so since we have it changed to delivered after we deliver their product to them, if they were to purchase it again in the future, it would change their custom field back to yes, which would send them through the journey again.
I see. Okay, so that's so if they were to double up and purchase two, they still get it delivered.
I don't know that people would, but I just put it there as a safeguard, I guess. And then you can see the rest of our journey here. So after it sends their first email and does all this, adding to lists and updating fields, we add in a 1-day delay, send another email, add in a 2-day delay, send a third email, and so on. And you can see after these number of days add up, this last email here is sort of a, share how it went for you sort of thing, and gives them a chance to share with us how the Fresh Start was and give some feedback to us. So that's the big picture journey right there.
Could we see one of the emails that you're sending while you're still in there? Yeah,
and so I'm kind of cheating because I pulled up this email earlier, so I wouldn't have to search for it. But this is the email that you would receive.
Oh, cool.
This first product delivery email right here, this is what you would get. And so the main point of it is to deliver down here you can see we call it the goods. These 3 goods right here. You can download those, and those are 3 of the main digital, resources that we give when they purchase it.
Wow.
But anyway, the overview is, we have this header up here where you can go to different places, some copy there, blah blah blah. But yeah, the main point is to download, and so that's one of our basic product delivery emails. And what I want to check real quick is if I actually showed up. And it's cool to kind of see this. To me, it's cool to see this in the back end because you get to see like an activity feed. Cool. So you can see right here at 1:40, which is about when I made that purchase, my contact was updated with the Zapier information. I entered that purchase admin journey, which then made me enter the Fresh Start follow-up journey, and it sent me my first email. So
wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, and it's all automatic, and it's really cool. And one thing I was sharing with you, we were talking over lunch one time, and I was just sharing how one thing that's really been awesome for me with moving to Autopilot is how easy it's been to create journeys, and journeys that are tailored to specific customers, to specific people in our community. Because with the system that we were with before, it was a lot of like drop-down sort of stuff and rules that if this happened, then this happens, and I would just get really confused with how to do it. But with switching to Autopilot, I've really felt like I can just draw, like if I were to just draw on a piece of paper what I wanted a journey to look like, it's basically the same thing as what I'm doing in Autopilot. And so I literally feel like I'm drawing out a journey. I hit publish journey and it works. And it doesn't take hardly any time at all. I feel like I can be more creative with it. And it's just, to me, when we're talking about customer experience, which is what the role I live in, that's been so helpful because I feel like I can build a better customer experience for people or community experience for people. And just to bring it back to Zapier, Zapier is, like, we wouldn't be able to do it without Zapier being able to automatically and without us even monitoring it, send that information for us. So it's really helped us to connect things that we believe in and make it happen. So I don't
Yeah,
know if
that's
that
so good
kind
to
of
hear, Dan. I feel like people are probably going to think we paid you to say that. We probably should.
no,
Wade, is this exciting for you to see as well? How Zapier is enabling, all of this, all of these processes to happen really, and enabling Dan to create these journeys. I think
Yeah,
it
absolutely. I think the interesting thing that Dan said is, he mentioned earlier, like, this is the only thing we're doing with Zapier, but I think that's an important point. I think a lot of folks feel like they've got to go to zero to the most sophisticated thing in the world. And what's cool about Dan is he's gone from nothing to like step one, and you can already tell, but just by going like taking the next simplest step forward in his business, it's had a huge impact on what they're able to do. So I think that's really cool to see someone who said, look, we don't have to have the most perfect thing. We don't have to have like a system built like Amazon. We just need to be a little bit better than what we're doing. And I think that's what's exciting here.
Yeah, I would agree there. I think a lot of people ask me, where should I start with journeys that I build in Autopilot? And I think the industry's sort of led with all of this technology to make you evaluate thousands of features and try and plan for the next 10 years. But we live in this pretty amazing world today where there's so many different great best-of-breed applications that you can use to get the job done. Really, I think the hardest challenge is picking a starting point, some sort of simple starting point, and just getting some, to use the baseball or cricket analogy, some runs on the board. I think that's really, really important. So I would agree with you. I think just starting simple and what Dan's been able to do, and Dan, it's so interesting to see. I mean, this is something in the past that 4 developers probably would work on to wire up, and for you to be able to do it and then control it and be empowered by it and then deliver this better customer experience is just so exciting to see. So we are running pretty short on time here, so I might, Dan, just get you to pass back over to me here, and we can kind of wrap this up. But that was a fantastic demo. I may need to reconsider my role here at the company in demoing our product because you did a stellar job there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate getting to share it. It's been exciting for me to, like you said, I feel like I'm not really an expert as far as this field goes, but I feel like I have the ability to do it, and so the resources like Zapier and Autopilot and Shopify all together it makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah, it's so exciting, and we'll have to check in the future as well and hear how it's all going and keep people posted on the results. It's certainly an exciting growth story. I think, especially from that point of from Instagram and then translating that growth over to a big community and subscriber base and then a Shopify store and then automating those customer journeys is just so exciting. So. So we wanted to sort of wrap it up with some key takeaways. And Wade, I'd love you to sort of help out here. I think one of the things that we love to encourage is really allowing people to think creatively about their marketing stacks, not having to do the sort of traditional early 2000 approach of locking into some monolithic system that they're planning to use features in for the next sort of 12 years. I think we sort of summed that up earlier, but I think, with what you've done at Zapier, you've thought really creatively about the technologies you're using. Do you have any sort of points to share on that?
Yeah, I think the key takeaway I have here is it's really two things, I guess. One is, start simple, right? Tools like Autopilot, Zapier, you can certainly get really advanced and do a lot of sophisticated stuff, which is part of the beauty of them. But you can also just start with the simple stuff. So just get something out the door today, and you'll see a noticeable difference in your business. In particular, the number one way I've seen in the businesses I've run is to drive purchases, repeat purchases, things like that, is to make sure your leads wind up in some sort of nurturing program, which obviously Autopilot can help with. So no matter where your leads are coming from, whether it's a landing page with a Wufoo form or a type form or unbounce form, or maybe it's a store like Shopify, maybe it's from your own email inbox like Gmail, make sure those leads get in your nurturing programs. Zapier can help automate that. You can also do it manually. Autopilot can help send those emails. Just start doing it, and I promise you'll probably see results in your business.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just starting somewhere, and really, I mean, we know that those who communicate more frequently with their customers generate twice as many leads and twice the revenue from a recent research report we released, which I'll stick in the link when we send out the follow-up video for people to read if they're interested. I think that it really is that. It's not letting leads slip through the cracks, and also creating these personalized experiences by knowing more about who these people are. And I think that's what really excites me about Zapier, because today in our own business, I know if people have visited our office, if they've attended our events on Eventbrite, if they've attended our webinars on GoToWebinar. It's so exciting to have all of that data stored against this customer identity, and it really allows us to create these remarkable experiences and journeys in Autopilot for our own business as well. Now, I did promise everyone that we would reveal Dan's ultimate smoothie recipe. So this is the big reveal of the webinar, which hopefully will come up on the screen now. So this is, Dan, your favorite green smoothie recipe. Can you talk us through why this is your favorite recipe?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really basic, and I love simple recipes because I don't feel like spending 20 minutes at my blender. And I think spinach is a mild leafy green, so it doesn't taste as strong as some others, so that's a plus. Though, I mean, some people like the really strong taste. I'm not a huge fan, but I'm okay with any kind of leafy green. Almond milk makes it sort of creamy and a little different than just doing water or something, though a lot of times I do water because it's cheap. And then, I don't know, I just like the strawberry and the mango combination is a great combination. You can also buy them frozen in bulk at a lot of places, which makes it a little cheaper for me too. But fresh is always best and tastes the best. And I don't know, the first time I had it, I just remember thinking that I want to have this one every single morning for breakfast.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good combination. Now, Wade, I got asked a question from the audience as well. What's your favorite Zap in your own business?
Oh, this is a good question. One that I think it's super simple, and I think the simple ones are sometimes my favorite. What it does is every month I have to send out an email, a templated email, to our investors, just letting them know how the business is going. And so what this app does is it creates a draft in my Gmail account. It has BCC'd all the investors that we have, and it has the outline template pre-created for the email. So instead of having to go in and create all that stuff from scratch, I just have to plug in a few numbers and then click send each month, which makes the activation energy for that task a lot lower for me. And so it's a super simple thing like that, but for whatever reason, that one just, I don't know, I like it.
Yeah, I think firstly, it's a really cool idea, and secondly, I think it's just things that improve you every day that I seem to love about it. I've done a lot of zaps around the Gmail tagging, so if you tag something in Gmail, do various things with it, and that's definitely one of our favorites as well. Like, if people ask me to, hey, can you put me on this list, or I'd like to know more about that, I can just add a label in my Gmail and it will add them to that list automatically in Autopilot, and then they'll start receiving that thing. So they think I'm just this hyper-organized email genius, but behind the scenes I'm actually so bad. My inbox is the worst place on earth right now, and I'm scared to look at it some days.
I'm the same way. I use that a similar Zap to put tasks into Trello for me, so I can stay a little bit more organized. And I think the thing is, like you said, people think you're like this super organized, genius person, but really I'm on the right side of lazy. Like, I don't want to do all this work, honestly. It's like, just get a computer to do it for me.
Yeah. I love that, the right side of lazy. Guys, this has been fantastic. We're actually at the top of the hour and we've run out of time, and I think people will probably want to get back to whatever they're doing. Guys, this has been fantastic. Dan and Wade, thank you so much for your time. I wanted to thank Annie, who's our producer here, putting this and bringing this all together. We couldn't do it without her. Thanks so much, guys. Any final thoughts?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, drink a green smoothie.
Yeah, so go and buy the book, Simple Green Smoothies. It's on Amazon now. You can buy it like we have, and it's great. And I'll be sure to report on our alcoholic smoothies, our soon to come.
Sounds great.
Cool. Thanks everyone for attending. We'll see you soon, and we'll be sending out a replay shortly.